Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Everybody, I'm Preacher Moss, host of the SOS, the Shout Out Show. Hope that you're having a fabulous Monday or what's left of your Monday. If you're already into your Tuesday, God bless you on that as well. Listen, I want to get some shout outs. We want to make sure that everybody is taking care of themselves at this point in time. We have, of course, Delta is still out there in terms of a COVID 19 strain, and now we have Omicron that is coming in there, a strong second, trying to take over first, as it would be. We encourage everybody, please, 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 despite what you're seeing, despite what you're reading, use common sense. Wear your mask. If you're not going to be vaccinated, be careful about who you go around. You know, the world is a global connection, and we ask that, while you think of yourself in a certain way, think of other people the same way. Shout out to somebody about sick and shut in. That would be shout out to Aunt Shirley, who is back from Duke Hospital. She's back in Danville, feeling much better. Duas are appreciated for that as well. We have some folks from around the country who are just saying, just send out duas. For if you're not feeling well, dua. And our own consultant producer, Sister Tana Whitfield, is not feeling well today, but she is championing this show. Either way, just trying to make sure that we have a good show. So much du'as. We pray that Allah give you shifa, Sister Satana. Outside of that, great weekend. I want to give a shout out to my camera guy, DP director. Shout out to Kurt Douglas, who was on the shoot for me for the new video for Convenient Urgent Care, which is called Don't Get the COVID. So we'll be debuting that hopefully before Christmas, a little bit after Christmas, definitely before the New Year. So we've been busy, brothers and sisters. We have definitely been busy. So let me jump into the topic today, and I'm gonna try to break down why I'm jumping into the topic today. Last year around this time, we had a major surge of Delta variant here in the United States. I mean, it did a doozy on us. We had a lot of people who are not with us anymore catch the Delta variant. We were in a period where there's really no feasible vaccine. We were left with wash your hands, social distancing, wear your mask. And these things were major. But one of the things that it did do, outside of the chaos it wreaked on the American healthcare system, is that it wreaked a certain amount of chaos on the American economy. With the shutdowns, with the inability for banks to loan to one another, a healthcare system that basically limited the main thing that the United States produces at a high capacity, which is human capital. All of a sudden, we find ourselves in a situation where America needed help. America needed help to help itself. We had to help the employees, we had to help the employers, we had to help the businesses, we had to help all the systems of government that help, for lack of a better word, keep the machine moving. And we had a guest on, my big brother, full transparency. We had brother Rick talking about cryptocurrency, and I spoke about cryptocurrency, speaking in an aspect. Okay, this is a different or alternative finance situation for myself and a lot of people. Many of you have actually gone into the cryptocurrency market. I know I have invested a little bit, nothing major, just to see what that market was, to see how things fluctuate. And of course, you put in the amount of money you can stand to lose. I've lost some, I've won some. That's not the point, though. The point now is that we have a realignment right now. We are almost at the same situation now where we have a variant that threatens to, in some regards, not shut down the economy, but definitely, brothers and sisters, definitely realign the way we're doing business. Of course, we're coming out of a situation. We're talking about inflation. We're talking about a near recession. We're talking about all of these things. And people talk about Omicron, the new variant, is not as deadly. Hear me, is not as deadly as Delta variant. However, though, it does make people sick. And everybody knows if you make a large percentage of the people sick, it affects, of course, your bottom line, your GDP, the ability to take human capital and put it into other things, business, manufacturing, education, on and on and on and on. Now, the reason I also brought this show up because something happened during last year. And that thing that happened during last year had to do a lot with the concentration of wealth. What has been discovered, what has been talked about, some but not a lot, is that during the previous year, dealing with COVID, we had a lot of people who benefited greatly. Large concentrations of wealth will move even further. So they say, 1% The 1% of America owns 30% of America's economy. That's it. 30% of America's wealth. And I saw something on CBS News earlier today that said that Bitcoin is actually going that way, whereby 1% of all Bitcoin people own 27% of all Bitcoin currency. The money, if you will. 1% own over 27%. So I'm thinking about this and I'm saying, okay, well, where is it along the line that people, some people got in invested, but it's a larger story. There were a lot of people, brothers and sisters, who were hell bent on making sure that, of course, Bitcoin did not last. And what happens is, if you can't beat them, you join them. So what I'm talking about today is why cryptocurrency really matters. When I say really matters, I'm talking about how does it connect to human capital? How does it connect to our GDP? How does it connect, brothers and sisters, to people insulating themselves against economies that don't really necessarily have their best interests at heart? We're going to talk about here on the Shout Out Show. Our guest is already here. We're blessed. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it. Why cryptocurrency really matters. Here with Preacher Moss on the SOS. So we're back. I hope you guys like my background. This makes me feel rich. Okay, I'm not actually rich, but it's interesting. You see these coins, you start thinking of the casino, and I'm sure my guest that I'm gonna bring on to talk about it, Rick, knows all about casinos, Atlantic City, the whole nine. But it is an interesting opportunity to talk about where we may think this is going. A big part of this show, a lot of things we talk about, we do implement forecasting. So I have some ideas, I have some questions. I'm sure Brother Rick Sclafford will guide us and give us the best information that he has. But before we do that, we want to make sure that we introduce our Shout Out Show family. We appreciate you coming back from the weekend. I hope all of you guys had a great weekend. You're back. We appreciate you. Let's load it up, Satana. Who we have? We got Sister Ree. How you doing, Sister Ree? Hope you're doing well. We appreciate you. Shout out to you, your husband, and your son, as always. Hopefully that you're feeling well. Make sure you give a shout out to Sister Tana. She's not feeling good today, but she's trying to truck this thing on through. We appreciate you, Sister Tana. All right, next up. My main man, wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My brother Altaf Rashid, better known as Mr. 6 o'clock, straight up, straight down, always on time, on that NOI clock, if you will, brothers and sisters. And, of course, he is the only Canadian ambassador to the show. In fact, I've checked around. I think you're the only ambassador to any live stream show, Brother Altaf. So we appreciate you, man. Thanks so much for making your way back to the show. We appreciate you. Next up. What's going on, Bilal? Wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I know you shouting out for you and the wife. As you say, the Salahuddins. Yes, sir, brother. I like when you bring it like that. We appreciate you being on the show. We hope that today we make this short presentation worth a while. Appreciate you, and may Allah bless you for your loyalty to the show. Okay, next up. We got my little brother JT. What's going on? We appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Great conversation to have with you day before yesterday. I know I call you early, but I call you early. But I appreciate you coming on the show, man. Hopefully you got that Wall Street Journal hooked up so next week you don't have to drive down there to get it. Shout out to you and your family. Next up. That's right. Sister Reed said, feel better, Satana. Feel better. That's all we want you to do. I also want to give a shout out. I didn't do this. I don't know how I forgot. I want to give out a shout to special sister. I don't know if I have the permission to put her name in, but she does a great deal of work with homeless Muslim women in the Baltimore area. She sent me an email. I texted her back. I hope that she's feeling better. And I think I'm going to give you a call. If you're listening, I'm going to give you a call or text just to make sure that you're okay. All right, Sister Tana, wa alaikum assalam rahmatullahi barakatuh. You got it. You got it. Shout out. Shout out. It's all love here on the show. So why why cryptocurrency really matters? I'm gonna preface this and then we're gonna bring on our guest. The impetus of how cryptocurrency was introduced it was a skeptic schematic, if you will. It was a skeptic schematic. We have been raised on fiat currency, brothers and sisters. I'm old enough to remember when we had a gold standard, and then the gold standard was moved to the dollar. And at each and every turn, brothers and sisters, it moves us further and further away from what I say is tangible wealth. Not that black people or Latinos or the poor were going around with bricks of gold in their pocket, but it was a currency that was tied to something. The fiat currency essentially says that $5 is worth $5 because the government tells you it's worth $5. Unlike gold, gold can be worth $1,500 a brick, and given the conditions, it can be worth $2,500 a brick. That's the scope of business that we're not involved in. Now, this was the way it was for quite a number of years till we had Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, if you will. And I will be the first one to tell you, I was a skeptic. Why? I was addicted to fiat currency. That's what we chase, brothers and sisters. And you can't tell them anymore in my generation. That's what we chased, the dollars. We didn't chase Bitcoin. There was a movie called Fresh, if you will. A movie called Fresh. And I remember this movie Fresh was a black kid. He was kind of geeky. But I remember one scene, he was doing his transactions in Bitcoin. And I said to myself, this must be something because they put it in the movie. It's a central plot in the movie. And then I forgot about it. Now, I'm going to bring on Brother Rick here in a minute. But let's be honest. Brother Rick told me about Bitcoin. I'll be honest, I was short-sighted because I just didn't know. I didn't know. I was addicted to fiat currency just like everybody else. We didn't know what Bitcoin was really worth back then. We had so many things that were, so many things and people were telling us, hey, put it here, put it there. But as Brother Nuri Amir says, this is an opportunity to democratize currency, economy, finance here in the United States, to be able to take money and put it into different things. And for your choices, you still work through a system, but for your choices, you did something that the fiat was not allowing you to do. That your investment, if it was worth $5 today, could be worth $7 today or $15 a day. And it went, brothers and sisters, with the fact that you didn't have to transfer wealth. You didn't have to pay for the privilege of moving your money around, which is huge. Now, I am going to bring on that guest. Let's go ahead and bring him on, Satana. What's going on, Rick?
What's up? What's up, Rick?
Big brother, big brother. I'm telling people, what the transition was from gold to the dollar to Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is still in that space. The one thing, if you do any reading about Bitcoin, if you listen to all the major companies, all the major players, the banks, literally they spent a large amount of time each trying to figure out how to destroy Bitcoin or to compromise it. I think the winner out of that is the one that figured out how to align their best interests with Bitcoin, so that further down the line they be in a really, really good position to reap some profits. Of course, that would be J.P. Morgan. J.P. Morgan figured out some aspects about how money transfer is going to happen down the line, and they began to develop infrastructure for it, which is what you do. You fight infrastructure with infrastructure. Right. Or in some cases, you fight a cryptocurrency, a coin with another coin. Now, Rick, let me ask you this question. We've come through a year whereby Bitcoin hit the top of the market. Now, we're in a bit of a tumble. You and I joked about the bottom falling out a little bit when it got to 33,000. I know you called me. I know you said you're gonna call me when the coin went up. We laughed about it.
Yeah, well, I'll call you in the year 2030 at this point.
Rick, what are the implications for cryptocurrency in the next 18 months? Let me frame this. The implications for cryptocurrency in the next 18 months. One, we have an infrastructure bill that doesn't look like it's going to pass. it won't pass. The Biden Build Back Better program is not going to happen. Manchin killed that. That's number one. Number two, we don't have hospital infrastructure at some point in time to really deal with the overall aspect of having another phase, if you will, the pandemic. Of course, Omicron, which is you and I talked about it, and it just seemed like last time we talked, it just tripled, it
Right.
quadrupled. It was it was South Africa. Now it's 77 countries. I mean, it's all in the United States. What are the implications for cryptocurrency if we go into another tailspin whereby the U.S. economy is going to be stumbled by the fact that people are not going to be able to work? Cryptocurrency was the only one that was able to hang their shingle out throughout the pandemic. So, people knowing that this time, how do you think that is? Is it affect where the market's going to grow, or is it going to be something that we're seeing now whereby it's saturated? Whereby if you
Well,
didn't get in earlier, and I mentioned earlier at the top of the show, I mentioned that cryptocurrency now has some of the issues of U.S. wealth, concentrated pockets of wealth.
mhm.
So if you can't do something like I'm reading in Finger Lakes, New York, that they're buying old power plants now. They're buying old power plants strictly with the fact that they're going to do mining for
Mhm.
coins, and that amount of power, that amount of resources is huge. It locks people out. So we can buy the shoes, but we don't have the manufacturing and the infrastructure to make the shoes, is what it is.
All
So
right. Well, I think that when it comes down to the multifold questions you do have, I'm looking at the fact that when we're looking at the market of cryptocurrency, it started out as Bitcoin, only Bitcoin. Everybody was US dollar to Bitcoin. Now you have all of these different other mediums that have come about over the last 2 years. You have DeFi, decentralized finance. You have NFT, which is non-fungible, that came, about a year later. And then now you have Metaverse, which is dealing with gaming platforms that are being launched. I want to say Axie Infinity was one of the ones that was talked about, more on the other side of the pond, if you will, from the U.S. U.S. players can't really engage in that. But um, when it comes down to how those play to earn games have started to take surface in the markets, you have money that's being filtered into that from different places. So that's why you have I, I want to say that's why you have digital currencies or cryptocurrencies holding value, because you have money that's being funneled in for other reasons other than just regular finance. You have people playing games, people being rewarded for putting posts, in social media groups. That type of thing funnels money through a digital currency economy, whereas you don't get that through your traditional fiat. So that's like one of the things that's holding prices up. But when you look at back in what 2017, end of 2017, this same time of year 2017, the overall crypto market cap was only 856 billion. That's it. Today, market cap is about 2.2 trillion. Okay, so that's a 4 year, push of funds coming in, and part of it was, we got a little bit of a push from economic relief. When stimulus was handed out, a lot of money got sent into crypto because people said, "Well, what the hell?" I'm going to go ahead and just take my whatever check you got and just put it into a crypto. So you don't know how many millions of people had done that, or they may have just taken profit. So you mentioned the peak price went up, came down, went back up. When I look at it from technical analysis on, market structure, we hit 64K back in April of this year. That was the peak price of Bitcoin. We came back down, went all the way back down to 28K. That was when you and I were joking about, Yeah, well, it ain't gonna be now.
Right, right.
Okay. Since that time, we've gone back up to 69K. We've hit a wall there, and now we're coming back down for a retest. So, prior to all of the mass adoption starting to take fold in cryptocurrency, I think what people are missing the concept of is that you still have market structure, regardless of the amount of people coming in.
Let me jump in here though. Um, Let me ask you this question,
Mhm.
and this is over the last couple years that U.S. paper has not been good. U.S. paper has not been good, and what I mean is that we have dealt with certain things about a credit rating, going back to Obama, um, that the dollar wasn't strong as it has been.
Right.
And I'm seeing some things that could be precursors to that. Namely, the country of Turkey, their currency, the lira, it totally bottomed out. Um, and I kind of look at economies that are like economies. And in some regards, the U.S. economy does have I want to say some components of the Turkish government, whereby,
Right.
um, I feel like we have better financial sense. We do things that are more
Mhm.
traditional. When you have inflation, when you have deficit situations, and you, of course, you raise interest rates to kind of control it to keep it from overheating. But there's a thing
Mhm.
about um, this is the thing about cryptocurrency, and you can jump in here. Cryptocurrency in that it operates something like some aspects of a stock market. There's no regulatory situation to keep it from overheating. Like,
And that's the problem.
yeah, and it's like to
Well,
keep it
no,
from
that
overheating.
that's the problem from your custodial side of market management or financial management. From the people side, they have more opportunity to earn in places that they can't get into the traditional markets and do that. And that's
Got
why there's a shift.
this
And
is
the regulators are trying to come up with ways to kind of manage that, mitigate it to a point where they don't have that heating that you're talking about. But it's going to be very difficult, in my opinion, that is for them to control that because you have multiple projects that continuously get built. Look at what Elon Musk is doing. How can you take a guy who never knew anything about crypto and within a year he's done built billions of dollars worth of infrastructure himself, dealing with a couple of projects that's already existing. You see, so when you have guys that have the knowledge and money to invest into that, it's going to change some things for the regular people. That's just my opinion on that.
Let me ask you this, because I was a big student of the 2007 crash, or the real estate crash, and one of the things that was discussed, particularly when Obama took office, when they were coming up with the TARP program, Toxic Assets Relief Program, and
Okay.
they were coming up with the amount of money that he needed. One of the things that people really, really got on Obama for was the fact that not that he asked for the amount of money that he asked for, but he didn't ask for enough. In a political system, there's really no second bite of the apple, if you will. And the one thing that they pointed out is, and a lot of people don't know, is it wasn't necessarily that the U.S. banking system was craving. It was the shadow bank system. It was the hedge funds and equity folk who
Mm.
they're not banks, but they operate like banks. You know what I mean?
Right.
Except for there's no insurance if you lose your money. So as I look at it now, it's like, well, the U.S. government doesn't have that. If something were to happen to crypto, like if crypto could really go into a tailspin, there's a real concern for contagion. I say, why crypto really matters now is like because the economy is not coming back as we thought it was going to. The whole idea of human capital, people are going to get back to work again. People are not getting back to work. You have massive amounts of people who are retiring right now, and people who are going to work are going. They're going look at they're looking at competitive situations. you're gonna pay 12. I want to pay 15. I need 20. So now the natural space of what employers are making in terms of profit that they will put back in the tax base, it's not there. And so I understand cryptocurrency, but I'm also looking at the fact that we don't have there's not a catch-all if it tumbles. Like the stock market can stop. They can stop. They can pull the plug on the stock market when it starts.
That's right. Hmm.
Crypto is not that. Crypto doesn't have that, and it's a free market system as advertised. But I'm saying in the context of an economy that's weak, what would you just suggest if you were running aspects of crypto to make sure that the little folks, because it's always the little folks that get hurt. What do the little folks do? The floor is yours.
Well, right now, uh, they run to the hottest thing that's hitting social media. The I'm sure you heard of Shiba Inu. Have you heard of Shiba Inu, the coin?
No, I mean,
Okay.
I've read some.
Yeah.
I haven't really done the whole homework on that. I mean, my
Right. Well,
my
that's the
coins
thing.
are
Nobody does any homework. They go strictly on the hype, and
okay.
that is what's making the people the money out here in the crypto land. But you don't do that in traditional stock market. You see, because it is regulated, you can't have these parabolic shifts in a price of an asset overnight. In crypto, you can wake up one morning and your balance is zero, but you can wake up the next day and your balance be $1 million because you were in the right asset at the right time. So while there's, in my opinion, while there's just really no regulatory thing that can prevent you from a crash, like a global crash of the market, you have so many varying components in the markets. I mean, I just mentioned that, we have three new markets that weren't here 4 years ago. And there's going to be more markets that enter into the space as time goes on when they keep building security infrastructure, finance funding type stuff, when it comes down to lending, lending and that type of thing,
They're
staking.
doing credit cards now.
Right.
They're doing Bitcoin credit cards
Exactly.
now. I'm like, and I think my thing is, Rick, they're going to be people in the market who they don't always get it right, but they get it right
Right.
a majority of the time. They're
Right.
50, they're 60 to 65% correct most of the time. Maybe that other 10, 15% they'll sit out. The other one they'll take a L like everybody else. Here's my point. Despite it being crypto, and the advances that crypto has made, there's still there's real hurt when people lose money in crypto. And that money is not, I want to say, the thing about crypto is, and what I like, the feature is you put in what you can stand to lose.
Right.
It's like the casino. If you can only put on a $5 chip, put on a $5 chip. Put it on black, but don't put $100 chip on there, lose, and then, and then keep crying. But I think the thing is, this time around, with it not being, I don't think that there's no bailout. This infrastructure is not coming maybe till next year, and there's going to be a compromise. That this is heading into the 2022 elections. I feel like the GOP is they stacked the deck on this, and I think eventually they're going to come after crypto because you're going to have a lot of people who are not in the wellspring. So I feel like crypto, of course, will be a target for a whole lot of people. I don't want to say, let's say a lot of people are not enlightened about finance. Well, now find that somehow this thing is anti-democratic, anti-government. But here's my thing, though. Let's say you and I go out somewhere and we have $100 each, and we have a bill that we got to pay for $50. We go somewhere, we put it in. We not only lose $50, we lose a whole 100. But we still
That's true.
have the accountability and the responsibility to pay that $50. What I'm seeing more and more is people don't have that gravitas that they held on to the $50. It's just gone. Rick, we lost you.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes, sir.
Yes, Satana is saying that I have an echo coming back, but I only have one device with a mic, so I'm not sure what that
Okay, no
is.
problem.
Okay.
Well, I
So
was
I'm sorry,
just,
your question.
I was saying, you know what? Is there a danger that people have put a lot of money into crypto? If crypto goes bad, that's money they can't put back into a real economy, goods, trading, savings, finance, tax base, if you will. Is there a danger to that? 'Cause
It
that's
is,
what I'm
but there
beginning.
is protections that you can put in place. If you're buying crypto, you're generally just buying from exchange, unless you are coming through one of the traditional market, um, custodial account holders that do hedge funding and things like that, and they're the ones in control of what you are buying and selling. When it comes down to handling your funds. But if you are doing traditional trading through the crypto exchanges, you're in total control over your actual trade from beginning to end. So if you're buying, let's say you bought Bitcoin tomorrow, you put in $1,000, you have the opportunity to put in a stop limit order to prevent a market dump where those funds will be returned right back to your USD wallet without losing an enormous amount of that, or a large percentage of that investment. And you can buy back in. Now I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I got you there.
Yeah, my thing is, crypto is great, but crypto, Satana asks, is crypto still a good investment? And I want you to definitely answer that question. But my question is, crypto, like any other business, has winners and it has losers. And I find that you have more losers when it's a crisis situation. And you
Mhm.
know the thing about like gamblers, when they lose, the natural thing is they keep losing. And so I'm saying, if we put that next to a real economy,
Right.
banking, finance, education, taxes, all that type of stuff that deals with infrastructure. Because the thing with crypto right now is crypto is not tied into our infrastructure. It's totally different. You know what I mean?
That's
Like
right.
it doesn't feed into it. It's not a regulatory thing, so it doesn't feed into it. So, but yet and still, it's so close to the present economic system. There is contagion.
Right.
So, if per se, if crypto were to tank, I wouldn't, I wouldn't be surprised if the government came up with a way to pump money into crypto because it's so tied into everything.
Well, 2.3 trillion or 2.2 trillion dollars is a lot of money to tank. We're not talking about where we have the traditional markets where we're in the higher level of trillions, uh, overall market cap. But when you're looking at crypto growing as a global scale for finance now and into the future, you can't ignore that. It's hard to tank something when so much has been pumped into it. It would take something like a government to actually, uh, you know, destroy the market.
Well, I think if I'm just saying if someone happened to crypto and then bottomed out, God
Right.
forbid, I'm saying it's so aligned to the U.S. financial infrastructure that just like the shadow banks that I talked about,
Mhm.
crypto would probably have to have it survive. They have to pump money into it. The governments now that have developed their own coins, sort of like to make sure that there is something there that they can, as a fail safe if something happens with, a country's currency or something like that, or fiscal situation.
Well,
I'm
let's flip it. Let's try to flip the script on crypto versus the U.S. dollar. All right, now we've been talking about the U.S. dollar is basically going to fail. Is that part of the conversation
It has a
eventually?
potential to.
Right.
It won't fail. It won't fail. It'll be devalued, but it won't fail. We
Okay.
won't get to that point.
Right.
But
Because they have regulatory things in place to prevent it.
crypto does not. But I'm saying, that's the big. That's sort of like the big fear. Like I said, alluded to earlier in the show that now Bitcoin has the distinction of being like the U.S. economy with concentrated
Right.
pockets of wealth owning large majorities of the market.
Right.
So it's like that's always been a telltale sign, which is the rich get richer and the poor get poor, or the
Yeah.
rich get richer and the poor get poor to the benefit of those who are already rich. Um, and you know what? It doesn't take rocket science to figure out that people who are at the top of a situation in terms of wealth can figure out how to manipulate it. And I think it's just a matter of time. Hopefully not anytime soon, or while I got my money in crypto. Uh,
Right. Yeah.
these are just things I'm thinking
Amen
about.
to
Why
that.
don't, why don't we answer a couple questions here? We got, is cryptocurrency still a good investment?
In my opinion, it is at the right time. Okay, because right now, Bitcoin, based on historical activity, we are potentially entering into what we call a bearish market for Bitcoin. But that doesn't mean that all crypto is going to be bearish. I mean, I just touched on we have these other three markets that are in play, assets that are tied to these other markets like metaverse and NFT. We've already heard enough about NFT and where it's going. Will that be affected by Bitcoin's winter? We don't know. That still remains to be seen. Same thing for metaverse. Metaverse is brand new this year. Every crypto market, Ethereum became its own little entity back in 2017, 2016, 2017. And since then, it has gone from $8 a coin up to as much as what we've seen now, over 4,000 in a 4 year span. Okay. So each of these other markets, when you have DeFi, NFT, metaverse, money is going to continuously circulate through those markets while Bitcoin is doing its winter. So cryptocurrency investment in general is a good investment, but you have to be in the right market at the right time for each market that you decide to play in. You know, one is going to be a buy and hold, and the other one will be a buy and swing trade, depending on how you really want to play the market.
Rick, man, I've held you longer than I actually intended to hold you.
It's all right, bro.
Hold on a minute. I think my mic is muted. I held you longer than I was supposed to. My mom said I'm late. Problem just you said nobody's doing research, but money seems to go to those early in, early out. Thank you, Mama Son. Appreciate you. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up, Rick. Can we get your email again? I know people normally have questions about Bitcoin. Satana, if Satana's on that, she can give us a banner. Where do you want us to
You want
find
me
you
to,
at?
you want me to type it in the chat?
Go ahead and type it up, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the show. Uh, Brothers and sisters, I wanted to thank Mr. Rich Schlaff for coming on the show and kind of indulging me on the aspect of cryptocurrency. You know, this show is really about not speculating, but trying to put a little bit of perspective on what we're going through right now and potentially what we could go through in the near future, particularly with the Omicron variant and the fact that there is very strong evidence that it's going to have some type of meaningful impact on our economy moving forward. So, yeah, we got it right there. Crypto B Rick,
BT Rick
Crypto BT Rick. There you go.
at Gmail.
Are you still training in this area? Yes, Rick is still training. Go to cryptobtrick at gmail.com. Again, that's cryptobtrick at gmail.com. Big brother, I appreciate you for coming on the show. Much
I
love.
appreciate you having me.
And thank you again, man.
Much
I
love
know
to
it's
the
last
SOS
minute.
family.
All right, man. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Rick.
All right. Peace out.
So we appreciate Rick coming on the show, everybody. A lot of information for us to digest, myself included. I'm finally adjusted in the line to get into this NFT market. I guess we could talk about that on another show. Make some big moves on that. Inshallah, pray for me, make dua for me. Listen, let's go ahead and wrap up. We appreciate you. Satana, thank you so much for hanging in there. We knew you did not feel well, and I definitely didn't want to go over. So let me wrap up really, really quickly, brothers and sisters. We're talking about finance today. We're talking about Bitcoin today. We're going to get our finance person back on here today, Miss Maxine BK. Not today, but on another day. Yeah. Until then, you go to www.befinanciallyindependent.com. Again, that's www.befinancialindependent.com. Call 202-508-3780. Again, that's 202-508-3780. We also want to give a shout out, of course, if you're thinking about getting a quality Islamic education at the graduate level, doctoral level, we got you covered. It's Bayan Islamic Graduate School, brothers and sisters. Bayan Islamic Graduate School. Go to bayanonline.org. Again, that's bayanonline.org. premium programs, Islamic studies, Islamic leadership, Islamic education, and of course, one of the premium programs for Muslim chaplains, their Master of Divinity with a specialty in Muslim chaplain. You can actually go and get the degree, and if you don't, you already have your degree, your master's, you actually go and have a certificate program. Amazing. And we last but not least, we want to give a shout out to our newest sponsor on the show, Convenient Urgent Care. Again, that's Convenient Urgent Care. Go to www.convenienturgent.com, www.convenienturgent.com. In the city of Houston, 3 locations, Cypress, Pasadena, and Houston on Parker Road. Now, I'm throwing out Convenient Urgent Care because they are doing a lot. If you're in the Houston area, they're doing a lot of COVID testing. So get up there and make sure that you're taken care of and your family is safe. We don't want anybody to get sick going into the winter and heading into the spring. This might be a tough one for all of us. Okay, listen, that's been my show. I appreciate you guys coming on. Again, big shout out to Mr. Richard Schlafford coming on here talking about cryptocurrency. Shout out, of course, to our consultant producer who stood at the computer and made sure this thing happened, working all the controls. And of course, shout out to the illustrious Shout Out Show family, Shout Out Show soldiers for supporting this program and this platform for almost 2 years. We appreciate you, brothers and sisters. We'll be back if it's Allah's will. See you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Preacher Moss, Shout Out Show. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Well, team, we've come to the end of yet another show. And I have to say I had a good time, and I hope that you had a good time as well. Listen, at this part of the show, we have no more show. I could literally sing a song saying we have no more show. However, to spare all of us that embarrassment and chaos, I'm just going to say, please join us tomorrow here on the Shout Out Show, Monday through Thursdays, and every first Saturday, we do our Saturday Spotlight. Here we are again, 5 to 5:30 on the Central Time. And of course, we're going to do our rebroadcasts at 8 o'clock Central, 9 o'clock p.m. And of course, that would be 6 o'clock on the West Coast. So, time for you to go, because it's time for me to go. I think I will do that song. Thank you for coming to the show. Thank you for coming to the show. That's all the lyrics I wrote. But you get the idea. See you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum. Shout out.